Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. So we learned about a whole bunch of comic book characters that are in Spider-Man Homecoming. There's like a big list, so I'm just going to do a breakdown. Silk is probably the biggest person on that list. So a couple of the big characters you already know about, like you already know about Peter Parker, you know about Flash Thompson, you know about Ned Leeds here, who becomes Hobgoblin in the future. But there's a whole bunch of other comic book characters on here. It's almost like they have a bunch of normal high school kids that just happen to have names that carry super comic book baggage, so they're just giving themselves a place to go. Because most of the main characters that we run into are Peter's age, they're sophomores, we'll follow them the rest of the way through high school, so you can see they're winking at comic book fans and giving themselves some place to go if they want to do some of these big comic book characters in the future. Like if they wanted to do Hobgoblin in the future, they'll have already spent a lot of time developing Ned Leeds when they get there. So moving down the list, we have Liz Allen, who winds up getting married to Harry Osborn in the future. They have a son called Normie Osborn. So it remains to be seen whether or not we're going to see any of the Osborn family, but they exist in the universe, so we might just see Oscorp or we might see Easter eggs, but that's kind of her comic book connection. Then we have Betty Brant, who works with Peter Parker and Ned Leeds at the Daily Bugle in the comics. She winds up getting married to Ned Leeds, like their relationship coincided with him being outed as Hobgoblin. You know about Zendaya, Mary Jane. She's listed as Michelle here, which might be Michelle Gonzalez. I'm expecting bait and switch, but it's totally possible that she is playing Michelle, and we're all just chasing a rumor, so just keep that in the back of your mind. But it does feel like the movie is going to drop, and then we'll find out that she really is playing Mary Jane, and they've just been using this Michelle name on all the call sheets as cover for that. So next big one, Bokeem Woodbine. This is a big one. Shocker, another big comic book villain. So it's reasonable to assume that we will see him being Shocker in a costume sometime in the movie. But Miss Allen here doesn't necessarily ring any bells, but there is a Jackal, Miles Warren. He has a daughter that we never knew the name of in the comics. She could totally be part of his family. Mr. Harrington was actually a character who was an administrator at Peter's school who hired him to be the science teacher, also hired Flash Thompson to be the gym teacher. So that was obviously much later in Peter's life, but it sounds like Martin Starr might be a teacher at Peter's high school. Principal Morita, this is actually kind of fun. He's not a comic book character, but Kenneth Choi was also in Captain America. His last name, he was a Howling Commando. His last name in that movie was Morita, so it's just an Easter egg for that. The next big one, Cindy. This might be Cindy Moon, who is Silk in the comics. It does seem like the movie is building room for other Spider Family people. Like, it'd be funny if we saw Spider-Gwen, but I'm not expecting that. Like, we'll see Gwen Stacy. I'm not expecting Spider-Gwen. But I do like the idea that they'll do Silk eventually, so that's kind of like our backdoor to Spider-Verse shenanigans, so that could be a lot of fun down the road. That's actually the biggest surprise on this list, the fact that they would do Silk. But there's also another character, Jason here. Jason Messendale was Jack-o'-lantern in the comics, but he also became a subsequent version of Hobgoblin. He picked up the mantle of Hobgoblin after Ned Leeds. So there are two people on this list that are Hobgoblin in the comics. But like I said, most of these big comic book characters are all sophomores in high school, so I'm not really expecting anyone to put any tights on anytime soon besides Peter Parker. But you guys can let me know in the comments, do you think that we're going to see Cindy Moon Silk in this movie? And do you think that eventually she'll actually become the Silk character? So hopefully they will actually, like some of these big comic book characters that become either villains or heroes in the future in the comics will actually pay out, because one of my biggest complaints against the last couple of Spider-Man films were that we got Felicia Hardy, but they in no way implied that she would become Black Cat eventually. Like, this is a billion-dollar franchise. You don't choose people's names arbitrarily. Like, don't give someone a really big comic book name if you don't intend to pay that off eventually. Now, obviously, it could go a number of different ways, but I feel like they're building potential for some of these characters to become their comic book personas. Really, I think the strongest chance that we have of that is Cindy Moon becoming Silk. Like, I'm not expecting to see Venom Space Knight in any of these new Spider-Man movies, but let me know in the comments, which of these comic book characters do you think will actually be wearing tights by the end of the trilogy? And I know I haven't talked about Vulture or Tinkerer. Those are two big comic book characters, but we already know that Michael Keaton is playing Vulture. Tinkerer, it seems like, is being played by this person who is going to help Vulture make his flight suit, which I think is pretty cool. So we're only seeing a handful of the names that are actually on this list, and it's actually just from a certain day of filming. So there's a whole bunch of other big comic book characters that we're going to see in the movie. But giveaway time. Congratulations to this week's giveaway winner, David Aro. You win a $20 Amazon gift card. Be sure to private message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact details. There is a new round of the giveaway that starts now. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this video. So if there's any bonus videos that you guys want me to do for Spider-Man, Spider-Verse, any of the other Spider family characters like Silk, just let me know in the comments. While you guys wait for my next video, you can click here to learn all about the Avengers Infinity War Guardians of the Galaxy crossover, and you can click here to learn all about Mary Jane in Spider-Man Homecoming. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.